And so when I went to the ER that night thinking I was dying, they said, one of the questions they asked me was, have you recently rode any amusement park rides or like ATVs, have you done anything extreme that had put your body through like a lot of jolting?
You're telling, wait a minute, are we rolling? Good. Leave this on, because you're saying that your kidney stone could have been caused by roller coasters?
No, not caused by it. Could have been dislodged. You can roll around with one in your kidney apparently for a while and you're fine. It's when that guy decides to come to Earth is when it becomes the problem.
Okay.
So the kidney stone apparently being inside the kidney could ramble around like, say, a Skittle in a bag. No big deal.
How long?
I don't know. They said it could have been in there for a while.
What's 2 weeks or 2 years?
They didn't specify. They just said a while.
You're a nurse.
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. There are nurses, and people can fact check me on this. If you are a labor and delivery nurse or a cardiac nurse,
yeah,
you have a very unique skill set where you know everything about that thing to the point that other nurses kind of roll their eyes.
And you're not a renal nurse.
I am not a kidney stone nurse.
I said renal, not real.
Yeah, I am a real nurse, licensed. But no, so there's very specific things about that.
Okay, kidney stone caused by or dislodged by, you said 2 things. Number 1, you rode roller coasters at Kings Island.
Yeah.
Number 2,
we came off of 75 hard. I came off 75 hard. And about a week later, 13 days later, I was bored with it. And I challenged the operations team to a 100-mile, 1,000 push-up challenge. We had to do 1,000 push-ups in 7 days, divide that out however you want, and do 100 miles, either walk, run, or bike. Okay?
Okay.
It was during an extreme heat wave. We were plus 90 degrees for like 6 of the 7 days. And I thought I was keeping up with water intake during that. But that weekend leading up to the kidney stone encounter, I didn't. Looking back, I did not. So at the ER that night, they told me 2 things was going on with me. 1, I had a kidney stone. 2, I was dehydrated. Although I was in severe pain, I was also very right. So I kept arguing. I was like, I am not dehydrated. I've drank more water in the last 75 days than I have my entire life. But science was on their side, and they said, sir, we've given you 3 liters of fluid and you haven't peed yet. You're clearly dehydrated. I said, well, now wait a minute.
Do they know why, when you were dehydrated? Do they know what causes a kidney stone, like in modern medicine? I get dehydrated all the time. I don't get kidney stones.
Yeah, no. So there are certain things. Sometimes your body just overproduces a chemical that does this, that creates these things. There also, it can be dietary related. There's like 3 or 4 things that can cause these. And I'm going to find out tomorrow what mine is. So I may need to avoid something. It could have just been a freak thing that just occurred. I may have to take medicine to prevent it. I'll know tomorrow.
Last inquiry.
Okay, yeah, go.
If you hadn't gotten on a roller coaster, is it still just sitting in there, or do they ever just break up on their own and you don't ever even know you had it? Or does it always come to fruition?
So Andy Hess said you do pass them. I don't think you just carry them for life.
And they don't go away.
No.
Once you got it, you got it.
They do say that if they're small enough when they start, that if you drink a lot of lemonade, the lemonade formula, the high level of citrus activity going on in that lemonade, can dissolve the really, really tiny ones.
So if you are susceptible to kidney stones and you've had repeated past history of that, you should probably incorporate lemonade into your diet as sort of a, like preventive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's also medications you can take.
This is kind of a medical podcast.
We're giving a lot. You have given a lot of medical advice on this podcast.
I know about plaque psoriasis.
Go on.
I can tell you about kidney stones.
Yeah.
I can tell you about, what was the other one? Death. I know a lot about death.
You spoke pretty heavily into diabetes one time, type 1. You were very hot on it.
Obviously. I have more diabetics in my family than any human being alive. That's a fact. If you want to doubt that, my dad, my dad's dad, my dad's brother, my dad's brother's son, my wife, my son. This is a thing that's not even supposed to be genetic, they say. You believe that?
When you say they. Well, look,
let's get serious.
Yeah. So, I could go on about this for months even. But we do have finite time here in the studio, and before we go any further into the kidney stones, there's a special guest, an expert in the kidney stone field.
Are you an expert, Zach?
No.
Okay.
Well, who do we have in the podcast? Welcome in here. Who do we have?
My name is Zach Levelle. I'm the director of operations for Morgantown.
For the Morgantown office.
A good one.
Yeah. Well, Zach,
Way up there, top of the list. Good one.
yeah. Like just in Morgantown, they're the top of the list, or in the state? How far
United
do you put
States.
that? The USA?
Yes.
I don't know why the emphasis was so heavy on the USA there, but
I don't know. The Olympics are still in your mind.
God, what a-
Between Tony and Adrian, Danielle, and Zach, that's an all-star team, and the results bear it out.
yeah. Who do you think will find more success this year? WVU's football team or Morgantown Village Caregiving?
Morgantown Village Caregiver. Well, I know they're going to be like nearly undefeated. Is WVU? Probably not. Nobody
Probably
is.
not.
All right.
No. Okay. Well, Zach, welcome in.
Thank
number
you.
one. Yeah, we appreciate you making the drive down from Morgantown. I've made that drive a bunch. I was actually just in Morgantown not that long ago. I came up and seen you guys. I was still doing 75 hard at that point. So part of my exercise was around campus there, up around the football stadium and around the hospitals. And that's a heck of a hill that they sit on there. Yeah, that was a good time. You ever climb that hill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, and Wade, a lot of people went to school there. I didn't, but I spent time there, and yeah, it's not a joke. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a San Francisco light
Yeah.
in terms of straight up and down.
So Morgantown.
I can't believe you got me on a podcast episode to where we know, because Zach's here from Morgantown, it will mostly be watched by Morgantonians.
Yeah.
To disparage WVU right off the bat. He
I did-
set me up. Did you see that?
I didn't ask you
By
to disparage them.
He put me into a false scenario where I had to choose between Village and WVU. What could I say?
You could have said they'll both. Ask me about Columbus and Ohio State. Ask me.
Which will have more success this year, Columbus Village Caregiving or Ohio State?
Yeah, I'd probably Village Caregiving Columbus. No, they're both going to have undefeated seasons. I'd say something like that. Hey,
Back to
so
Zach.
let me ask this question. Number one, Jeff has already got the stuff out of the way. We talked about Tony. We talked about Adrian. Great people. Danielle, awesome team. New building.
Yes.
You guys moved across the street into the new location. Had the very official grand opening celebration for the building. How did that go?
It was amazing. We had an incredible turnout. A few people from home office come up.
Yeah.
We had some of our caregivers show up. So many compliments. West Virginia Caring right across the street. They stopped over.
Yeah.
Couldn't have asked for more.
Now, some of the real official folks from the home office came up. Jeff Stevens was there. Cameron was there. Chris Atkins was there. Brandon Stacy was there. Was that the list? Was that the one? I know that's who was in your vehicle.
Were
right?
you there?
I was not there. No. I had
Payback.
I had just been to Morgantown. It would have been favoritism if I'd went twice in the same 2 weeks. Did anyone out of that group not behave? Number one, was there anyone that's not welcome back? You think?
I think everyone's welcome back.
Did you say Chris Atkins was not welcome? Is that what you said? I
can't say that.
Okay, how did he eat too much food? Sometimes he's known to just. We're like, Chris, those are appetizers. It's not a full meal. Anything like that we need to talk about.
I had heard some musings about that,
Yeah.
but we never stopped, so I had to answer a few phone calls.
Okay.
If someone had told me to be on Chris Atkins like babysitting duty,
Yeah.
totally would have done it.
Okay. Were you good while you were up there?
Are you kidding me? Best of the bunch.
Best
Surely.
behavior. Okay.
I talked to so many people that were either a caregiver for the company or a client showed up, people from around town, Chamber of Commerce, news people, the directors at Clarksburg drove up to support them, and y'all did a really great job putting that event together. I know how much work it is. It's more than it looks like between just getting all the food, the invites out, coordinating with the press and media, gave a nice little speech out front, did a ribbon cutting. Even that, you got to get a ribbon. You got to get giant scissors. You don't just find them laying in your desk.
No, Hobby Lobby never has them.
Right. And so it was really, really well attended, and you deserve a lot of credit. You all did a great, great job.
Thank you.
It was a special event. I love talking to a few of those caregivers that I hadn't got a chance to meet, and I texted them afterwards too. Took
Really?
group pictures together. And
Yeah.
it was neat.
Nice. Did you mention the podcast while you were up there? It sounds like a lot of media was there, a lot of opportunities to get our brand out there. Wow.
I blew it.
No. It's fine. We had a deal that any time we were on the local news, we would mention it. And
I don't think I did. I might have.
that's fine. That's fine. We'll keep working on it. So, Zach, we appreciate the fact that you had Jeff and the gang up for that. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from the Morgantown area, born and raised there? Where are you from?
I am from Mannington. I'm about 40 minutes south of Morgantown.
Okay.
Grew up there, and I now have a house in Granttown with my fiance, two dogs.
Mannington, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about Mannington. Hey, are you familiar?
I've heard of it, but honestly, I don't know exactly where it is. You're going up 79, you go west or east, south of Morgantown.
Easy,
Easiest
Christopher
way.
Columbus. Do you make a right or a left off the interstate?
Off exit 132.
Okay, so almost all the way up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's from Ohio. He doesn't even know what we're talking
But
about.
no. Here's the thing. Being at Village Caregiving for the last 5 years, I've gotten really familiar. We were discussing earlier today. We're like, well, is that over near Welch or what? Like here in these towns and then traveling around and stuff, I get to pass through a lot of those places. But in your case, I'd never heard of Mannington. What's it near besides Morgantown?
Fairmont.
Okay, see, I'm familiar with Fairmont University, right? Aha. If I'm not mistaken, they have an aviation school over
They
at
do.
Fairmont. Aha. Have you ever been to Evansville, Indiana?
I knew this was going to come up. No, I haven't.
You did pretty good right there. That was
not
pretty
bad.
good.
Yeah. So okay, so you're over in the Mannington area, but now you live in
Granttown.
Granttown. Is that near? What's that near?
I'm about 30 minutes from Morgantown, 20 minutes
Okay.
from Mannington.
Cool. And so, you're born and raised over that way, and have you kind of stayed in that area your whole life?
Yeah.
See, I have too. I'm 8 miles from where I was born and raised, so I've not went very far. I've never exceeded that 8 miles as far as a residency goes. Interesting fun fact. So what was kind of the path to getting to Village Caregiving? We'll get into what you do at the Morgantown office, the role you play there, but what kind of led you that direction? What did your career path look like?
So it's a bit of a windy road.
That's fine. Take us down it.
I got my CNA in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I still hold it. Very proud of it. It's what's kind of started this path. And then worked in long-term care, worked in a hospital, and then I took a hard right into vascular surgery.
Okay.
And I worked under Dr. John Denny there for a while. About 4 to 5 months into it, he had created a clinical coordinator position.
Okay.
I went into that role, started doing some HR type duties, overseeing clinic day-to-day operations of it. And then I was kind of at the top there with education, with what I could do. Really, my next step was to go to nursing school or ultrasound school or go be a doctor.
Were you, just real quick, this position that you were in, were you clinic based or were you hospital based for that role?
Privately owned clinic.
Okay, so you were in a clinic.
privileges
Yeah.
at UHC.
I got you. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So from then I started looking. I liked the HR and that whole aspect, and I swore I would never go back to long-term care after I was a CNA. But I dipped my toe back into it. Went into 2 different companies for a period of 4.5, 5 years as an HR director, and then was really, really happy with it until maybe the last 6 months of my employment. Started looking around, and I saw a post on Indeed for the DO in Morgantown and applied for the position. And I messaged Adrienne. She is a lifelong friend of my fiance's.
Okay.
So we've known each other, but weren't like the best of friends.
Yeah.
And talked to her like, hey, what's this all about? You know, you can only go so far with a job description. And Adrienne raved about the company.
I see.
And then
Make note of that. We'll need to, money. Continue on.
And then I got the call from Tony about scheduling an interview with her, Adrian, and Chris, and then got a call to interview with Jeff and Adria, and the rest is history.
Wow.
It was a great interview, too. I remember it.
I have never been so nervous for an interview, and I got off that call, and I was like, what the hell just happened?
You were in the car, right?
Yes.
I thought so.
I was on a lunch break.
Were you? I was going to say, did you get out and get in the car, or were you actually traveling?
I was just on a lunch break for work.
Yeah, gotcha.
We've done, not to sidetrack, we've done some of these car interviews before where like out in the parking lot, because you're at work, you're trying to be respectful, you don't want to use their Wi-Fi, whole thing, whatever. People switch jobs, that happens. But we do these interviews, and I remember we did one, I think it was in Chicago, and the guy was in his car, and there was a lot of like foot traffic passing by the car, and I thought, I mean, statistically, someone could get robbed during one of these interviews. And what do you do? What if you're on the interview and like you see someone just jerk the door handle open or something, like something wild? You know what I mean? That's when it's going to happen. You're distracted. You're answering questions. You're nervous. And, burglar Benny comes by and he's like, this is my chance to, take the iPhone, whatever. Wouldn't that be something?
Who hurt you?
Well,
your mind goes straight to people getting robbed.
I'm not wishing
because they're in a car,
for it, but crash and grabs happen, smash and grabs through the window. Anyway,
Zach, let me ask you a serious question.
Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, first off, talk a little bit. Have you enjoyed your time here so far at Village?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's the best part of the job? I say that, and it's always caring for the clients, right? And it is the best part. What about in the office? I mean, just something that other directors would relate
It has to
to.
be the dog.
Yeah, Priscilla does make a difference.
Priscilla's great.
You do have a good office dog.
Our team makes the difference, and it's not just the team at Morgantown, it's the entire company. I tell people every time whenever I do an interview, I am supposed to say this because it's my job and to get you to come on board here, but I genuinely do love my job. I get happy to come to work. I want you to come here and experience what I experience. I can call Chris Atkins with a question. I can call either of you two with a question, and it's not going to be received like, follow your chain of command. Did you ask Tony about this? Why are you calling me?
And so you've formed teamwork, which is a special word. It gets overused because really what you see a lot of times is, oh, well, our team does this. If that's a group of people. A team is achieved whenever there is a collective attitude and trust and accountability that makes this group of individuals become something different, and that is a team. And that's where the magic lies. Where does that come from in your office? Because I know you are a good team. In terms of leadership, the things I'm talking about, the trust you have for each other. I mean, just some experiences that you've had along the way, or what you've witnessed from your colleagues that means a lot to you when you see how they conduct themselves. Anything come to mind that what makes you such a good team?
I think what makes us a very special team is we all have a clinical background, and we're all very competitive. The clinical background, we can all put ourselves in our caregiver's shoes of someone's past. You've had an argument with a caregiver. We've all been there and we've all done it in some realm. So we can speak to it and we know that each other can. And then competitive, Tony and Adrian will start with competitive natures they've said on theirs. Then Adrian and I start, and then we'll start with Danielle. And we'll try to outdo each other on little things, and all along the way, it's congratulations. Like, Adrian hired 6 people last week. I hired 8. We hired 14 people. It doesn't matter who got more.
Right.
But it does, doesn't it? You can be honest.
A little bit.
It matters, yeah.
That's the competitiveness.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. That's exactly what I was getting at, though. There's little things like that add up. What about how close are you as a group? Have you had enough time yet? And you've been with Village how long, did you say?
Last week will be 7 months.
7 months. Have you had enough time yet to form those interpersonal relationships that kind of transcend work and become more meaningful, or are you still just not had enough time to do that?
Oh, no. We are the best of friends inside of work, outside of work. We are always laughing. Even on our worst days, we're still giggling, throwing jabs at each other. It's a perfect team. I could never ask for a better team.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then the last piece to that is you feel, I'm guessing there, that everyone's motives are for the team and for each other, and it's not a self-serving, I got to get ahead. That will, again, that keeps you a group of people that work in a place and not a team, if there's even one person like that. And I don't see any of that in your group.
No, there's never a point where Adrian has to outdo me. I have to outdo Adrian. Adrian got 6 hires. I'm going for 7. And we're going to celebrate that at the end of the day.
Right.
Tony took on 3 new private pays. I'm going for 4. Danielle did 3 assessments. Tony's going to do 4. We feed off of each other and keep that energy. And I think that's what sets us apart from, and it speaks to our success, is we're always striving for more and we're standing behind each other all along the way.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You know, when I was there visiting, there was a couple things that was, I mean, obviously the culture of the office is super cool. They're cohesive. They're great. I think at one point Danielle came downstairs and Tony was mad because she forgot to load her Nerf gun, or Danielle was mad. Nerf guns, they shoot at each other. But while I was hanging out at Tony's desk, there was, you guys kind of work in a pod area there where like, you know, it's kind of a war room, a lot of information passing, a lot of moving parts. They're a big, busy office. And this isn't a negative towards any other office, but what I heard while I was in the room was they're informing each other, but there's not like just a singular decision maker. Sometimes when I'm in an office, there's multiple people working, but there's only really one person making decisions there. Like, this is where that staffing goes. Who's this client? You have one central person that's kind of telling everyone yes or no's. This group was just informing each other. Like, we're working independently on, and I use this example sometimes when offices grow. We're not hiring a second person to hold the same water hose, right? That we're not fighting the same fire with the same water hose. We need multiple people doing different things. That office, I think, has been able to find the level of success that it has because you guys are all able to work independently towards a greater thing. And that takes a unique type of leadership from your director. It also takes a lot of, I think, accountability from the other departments or the other folks working. I don't know. I mean, there maybe is another office out there that does it better. Beckley would come to mind, an office that does that at a high level. Columbus comes to mind. There's offices out there for sure. Man, you guys do it, especially to be such a newer team. Like I said, you've been just 7 months there. You were one of the ones there doing it, like, hey, this is what's happening with this client, this client, this client. It's updated on the board. I've already sent the information over. You guys do that efficient. It's got to be a key to your success there. So kudos to you guys for leaning into that culture of being, I think, able to make decisions without leaning in. So, if you were guessing there at your office, what do you think? I mean, before you got on here, you were telling me, like, what do you think that was?
That's Sarah driving by out there tearing around town in that Mini Cooper I got.
Golly, that sound like a drag car out there. Before you came down, you were telling me, like, here's the main things that I wish Tony had changed about herself. Did you want to go over that list?
Sure. There's no secrets between us.
I'm just kidding.
I have a serious question for you.
Go ahead.
You talked now about your team and teamwork. On the individual level, what is one thing that you are working on currently about yourself to change in order to continue to grow and develop professionally?
I want to keep learning. It's the biggest part. I know a lot about what we do, but there's parts that I'm just not familiar with or haven't really dabbled in just yet. So continuing to learn and use my resources, you guys, Danielle, Chris, in addition, of course, to Tony and Adrian and my Danielle. Just let's see where this road takes us.
Yeah. And so you're talking about learning about Village caregiving and our processes and things. What about outside of Village? What do you enjoy learning about in terms of self-development? Do you read a lot of books like that? Or
I have actually begun reading. I did for a while, and then life got busy. It got put to the wayside. I've been starting back into reading.
Yeah.
A personal development book here or there, a crime novel, whatever's just piquing my interest that week.
I always say you should alternate those.
Yes.
It's easy to get tired of the same old thing, so I go fiction, nonfiction, fiction, nonfiction, back and forth like that.
I started reading Atomic Habits the other day, and that was a terrible idea before bed, because then I'm sitting there like racking my brain about all these different things, writing stuff down. Save that for like after work.
Yeah.
Not a before bed book.
That's a real thing. Whenever you get into a really good book that has also practical applications, I can actually start getting a little bit stressed while I'm reading it. Like, how am I going to remember all this stuff? And I'd start trying to take notes in my phone, and next thing you know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Bingo.
Right. Yeah.
I heard, I'm curious if you relate to this statement at all. I was listening to the podcast the other day, and they were interviewing a flight attendant. And flight attendant said, they was asking about their job and stuff. And she said, you know, what's interesting about our position is, I tell every new flight attendant that joins the company, is that we collect stories, not stress, because we're probably not going to see these people again. I got to thinking, like, how does that relate to what we do? Anytime you hear people talk about their professions, so I think how it's similar and different. And I was thinking in our position, we collect a million stories from our clients, stories from caregivers, stories from their families. I remember stories from when I was in Ashland years ago and things that would happen. And Ben and I will occasionally bounce back to a joke like, hey, do you remember when this happened? Do you find that in your role, I know you had said like, and I was a CNA in long-term care as well. There were stressful times in that. At Village Caregiving, do you feel like you're collecting, like I always use this example during orientation of bricks in a book bag. Do you feel like you're collecting that type of stress here? Are you collecting stories? What's 7 months in look like for that?
7 months in is, of course, there's been stress. There's stress of learning new things, making sure I'm doing everything correctly by how we're state standards, village caregiving standards. But it's not been a bad stress at all. I am a night and day different person from starting village caregiving to now. I'm a happier person.
Yeah.
My worst day at village caregiving does not compare to my best day at former employers.
I got you.
I love to hear that. I really do. That's what I spend all my time trying to make. Thanks. I'll give you that 20 later. What are your hobbies outside of work?
I'm a pretty simple guy. I'll do just about anything. Give it a try. I love being on the water. Eventual goals, boat in a lake house. Camping, hang out with friends, football games.
What do you do on the water? Like on a boat, you mean?
If I bought a boat.
Yeah. I don't know if you meant
I'd try.
lake life up there around, Cheat Lake? Is that what Morgantown has
I
next
could
to
get
it?
by with Cheat Lake, Mon River. I'm not really particular on an exact body of water. Just put me near one.
You ever go water skiing?
I have tried it a few times.
I've never tried it. How difficult is it?
It's very difficult.
I bet.
Because you have to keep your toes pointed in, and then at some point you can release your toes. There's a lot of thinking involved to just get to one part.
Are you into fishing?
I will. I'm not like a diehard fisherman, but yeah, I'll fish.
Yeah. What's your favorite TV show on air right now?
Ooh.
We don't really watch a lot of TV. We've got our nose in our phones.
Yeah, we don't either, actually. These days, honestly, if you took the TV out of our house, I think the only thing I would miss is some ball games.
Yeah,
I'd much rather have the radio on.
Favorite all-time movie?
October Sky.
It's a good answer. I think I asked you
It's
that.
very hard
in the interview.
to get me to sit down and watch a movie. I get bored. But every now and again, we can squeak one in.
I cry at the end of that movie. When his dad shows up to watch it and everything.
It's a tearjerker.
That's when I tell the girls, my daughter and my wife, I got to go check on something.
Oh, I got to let the dog back in.
Yeah.
Like the dog's laying right here. Like, shut up.
Yeah. Why is that so embarrassing? And you got to do the whole thing where like you kind of like, I see if they're looking at me and then I'm like, ah. It's because I have a fear of intimacy on some level.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, isn't that what it is?
I don't know. I don't.
With my own,
Yeah.
with myself, I mean.
Yeah. You're just not comfortable with it.
It makes me pretty damn uncomfortable, yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I'll cry in front of someone. People cry.
Let's do it right now.
I could. I'll just think about, well, it'd be tough. On command like that. That's why you got to admire actors that conjure it up. They go to a certain place and they're able to get right there.
What if you cut to me and I'm just bawling?
Wow. That's really good. Zach, what do you think is the most important part of being a manager in your office?
Wow.
Most important quality, most important thing you do, part of your routine, wherever you want to take that question.
I think being apathetic towards people, and, we deal with a wide variety of clients and caregivers. You have to be able to meet them in the middle wherever they're at, because whatever they're calling you about and it's something negative or there's something wrong, that's the biggest thing going on in their life right now. So you have to put your feet in their shoes and kind of understand, okay, a caregiver's 5 minutes late. They're coming or they're on their way, but that's significant to them.
Yeah.
So being able to be compassionate and understand that, it's a worry for them.
Makes them feel better, but it just helps yourself too.
Yeah.
What's the alternative? You just get frustrated that they can't see things like you see them.
Exactly.
Right.
Side note, I was in Cleveland recently, and we were in the flats along the Cuyahoga River, okay? And we're on one side of the river eating. Danielle and I are. My wife, not your Danielle. And she's welcome to come as well. It's up to her. But we were there, and we needed to go across the river. And I mapped it. How far is the walk? It was 17 minutes. We could see where we were going. But like all things, it depends on a bridge, right? And so we're watching, and I see.
Like all things.
Yeah.
I don't think all things depend on a bridge.
Everything depends on a bridge.
Okay.
So think about it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It applies to everything. And so we're there, and we're like, well, that's a long walk. But then I saw a water taxi, okay, a little boat. And I don't know how far the Cuyahoga River is between the east and west bank here and the flats, but I'm going to guess it's less than 100 yards, okay?
Okay.
Too far to swim for the regular person in regular clothes, but probably not ideal. And they bring big boats through there. They brought a 660-foot long boat.
You got to walk 17 minutes. Where does
17 minutes? Yeah. So we decided the water taxi is free, and it runs every 15 minutes. So we said, let's ride the water taxi.
Right.
I got down there, and Zach reminded me of this when he said his love for the water. I had always confined myself to the idea that my retirement gig was going to be running the trolley at Dollywood.
Yeah.
There may be a sweeter gig. The water taxi guy, he goes 100 yards every 15 minutes. He's they call him a captain, okay? He has this pontoon boat, and he's got a helper, a first mate, this lady that throws the line and hooks it up to the... I watched this guy make a couple passes, all right?
Yeah.
It was fascinating. They have an outfit that they wear. They have a safety video. This is no joke. The safety video concluded about the time we docked at the other side. So, I mean, you'd have to ride it a second time for it to be any benefit in this, because if the vessel goes down, you're 2/3 of the way there before you even know where the life jackets are.
You probably do have a return trip.
We went to a concert, so they were shut down by the time we got back. They closed at 9. But it was fascinating. And I thought for you, if after Village Caregiving and you're in your retirement gig, if you still want to be a leader of a situation, who is
Sorry,
that?
this is my alarm I set to remember to refill my parking meter.
So you could hypothetically live on the water and run a water taxi where you could still be a captain of your own boat. Have you thought about that?
I haven't, but now I will.
I want you to keep that open on potential things.
I'll work on shortening that video.
Yeah, it needs to be tightened up some, to be honest with you.
What do you think about this idea?
Tony, Adrian, and I had a long conversation before I come down because you guys had sent me the list of like potential questions.
Yeah.
Didn't look at it at all.
None at all. Well, that's
because all the ones I've watched, there's a hard left where we have things like this. So there's no preparing for this.
No, I agree.
You're right.
Agree. What, of all those questions, what was your favorite, you think, if you were going to...
He didn't read them.
I know. What's your favorite? You've worked your way through some of these.
Yeah, I'm over here actually conducting an interview. You're just talking about water taxis and God knows what else.
Kidney stones.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool, though, because you have some conditions that he has to navigate. Like if the wind's blowing, it's a little harder to dock.
I thought you were talking about Zach for a minute.
Oh, no.
He has conditions to navigate, too.
Yeah.
You ever been on a water taxi?
I have not.
I didn't even know it was... Did you know it was a thing? You're well-traveled, though.
They're really popular in Europe.
God,
and I'm
Cleveland.
worldly and suave.
Yeah.
It's an Andy Griffith reference also, so suave. Okay, let's do some fun questions, right?
All right.
These are my favorite. Are you a big animal guy?
I like animals.
Okay, what are your animals right now?
I have a Feist and Terrier mix.
Okay.
And I have a Golden Retriever.
Big dog guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that golden doodles have ruined golden retrievers?
No.
Some people have those hard takes. You know, they're like, oh, a poodle and a gold. Anyways.
Do you?
No, I have one. So I think it's God's gift to us, honestly. She's wonderful. What's the weirdest animal you've ever had?
Probably a bird.
What kind?
I have no idea. I was like 10. It was a good idea for a minute. And then we're not 100% sure what happened to the bird.
Yeah, that's how it always happens, too.
But it ended up passing away.
Yeah.
But it was conveniently after my mom like had Febrezed the room.
Oh,
So
wow.
we decided no more birds.
Yeah. My dad one day caught a parakeet outside, which is weird in itself. They're not native to Southern Ohio, number one. But someone clearly had lost this thing. My dad's like, and we didn't have a cage for it because you just don't usually keep a spare bird cage around the house, although they are somewhat for decoration. And so we're like, well, we'll get a bird cage. Now, how do you think it'd be best to keep a parakeet safe while you're going inside? How would you do it? If you had to, right? If we had a bird in here, what would you do if you had to leave?
You put it in the cage.
But you don't have one. That's what I'm saying. Can you put one in a box, you think?
Possibly.
We didn't. We put it in a really small room in our house, like a small room. And we're like, you'll be safe till we get back, buddy. He wasn't.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he wasn't. So.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Would you rather spend a night in a tent with a person that you hate, but you sleep really well, or spend a night in a tent with a person that you love, but they snore all night long?
Oh. Are you... no, I can't ask any follow-up questions.
That one's really hard because I don't sleep well. So that good night of sleep sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
But since I already don't sleep well, I'm going to go with a good night's sleep.
Does your fiance snore? You can say it online here. It's safe.
Sometimes.
Well, that's your answer.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather get bad news over the phone or in person?
Oh, wow.
Over the phone.
Time out. What's your bad news? You just had to picture your bad news, right? Like you had to picture it.
Is it bad news like
Yeah.
I just lost my job, or bad news like someone's passed away? What context of bad news?
My mind went to someone passed away, honestly.
Yeah,
to
mine
answer your
did too.
question.
Yeah,
In
I
person.
just killed a person I love in my head on accident. Like, well, geez, I guess I'd want you to tell me in person.
Yeah, in person.
Yeah.
Some of these are naughty.
Yeah.
Would you rather spend the night at a haunted hotel or spend the night inside of an insane asylum?
Oh. You guys have one up there. Isn't what's the name of that one?
Trans-Allegheny.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's close to Morgan.
Well, that's a lot closer than to us.
I am impressed with your knowledge of West Virginia.
Dude,
today.
me and Babydog, we toured the country.
Yeah.
There's going to be a couple people Google that, and they're going to be shocked at what they're about to find for West Virginia on that. But
A lot of things.
yeah,
Well, okay, what was the answer?
haunted hotel.
Haunted hotel.
Same.
Oh yeah.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Ooh.
This really comes up a lot on
It
here.
does way more than it should, but we're back in the Halloween season, so that's okay.
I tell you what, that must mean something about me. I keep asking this question. Why is that? You know, like I'm being
Have
serious.
you recently seen a ghost?
No, I've
Or
never
had
seen
an
one.
experience like that that's caused questions?
Have you
No.
ever had an experience that you would think, yeah, that's a ghost?
I don't think so.
I think it must be. I never have, but I really want to, and somehow it ties
it'd be
back
cool.
into my like spirituality and faith or something. So I keep asking people if they believe in ghosts. I don't know what I'm trying to do with this exactly, but it's coming from somewhere.
I think it'd be cool.
Oh, it'd be great, but I don't know. I'd have to rethink everything.
Yeah. If you met a ghost, would you assume that it's a former human?
If I met a ghost, where?
Would you, just wherever, laundromat, whatever, but would you assume
That it was a former human?
Yeah.
Isn't that what a ghost is?
well, I don't know. Is that the difference between a ghost and a spirit?
Maybe it's a ghost that hasn't come into his life yet.
I don't know where he is in the life cycle, but would you assume like, that guy must have been a former human?
I would probably assume it was a former human.
Interesting.
That's what I saw in
because
cartoons.
I think where you're going is like just like white sheet.
I don't know. It could be an evil spirit or an angel, depending on where you fall out on the religious spectrum.
Guess it depends on what it appears as.
Exactly. Okay.
Would you rather get $1 million and improve your life,
Oh,
or get $1 billion but have to donate all of it to various charities?
Do I got to pick the charities?
Yeah.
yes.
$1 billion. I'll donate it.
I can tell you mean that too. You have to say charity. I'm not even going to let you say anything else.
Same.
Just settle down. Settle down over there.
Same.
Would you rather eat sushi in Japan or eat pizza in Italy?
A pizza. God, it's so good.
I like both, but I think I'd have to go with pizza too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you had pizza in Italy before?
I surely have. I've been there a couple, 3 different times. I don't remember eating pizza though.
No. I went to New York.
We do pizza better.
That's what I'm
than Italy.
saying. Like
they don't care about it there.
I was in New York and got like a slice of New York pizza, and I'm like, Giovanni's kills this. I mean, it's probably just what I'm used to. I bet a New Yorker would fight me over that statement. At the next Knicks game that you're at, could you check for me?
I'll tell you what, in West Virginia has some really good pizza places. Like legit put them up against top pizzas in New York. I agree.
We should get a
Chicago.
pie on here for the next episode.
There was an old article, you could probably still Google it, in GQ, their food critic's name, Alan Richman. It's called like the 20 pies you have to eat before you die, all over America. And it's one of those things where as you travel, I will always remember that list if I'm in, and it's kind of random places. They could be anywhere from Providence, Rhode Island to Phoenix, right? And I've tried to go to a bunch of the different ones, so I've had what's considered the best of the best, and sometimes you'll hit one that's really great, and sometimes you're like, whatever. Sadly, now I think about half of them are closed, but man, no kidding. Like, our pizza is super legit around here.
Were we on any of those?
No.
Not in the top 20. It's unfortunate.
What's weird, though, is that all of those places, as it should be, are mostly, well, I think probably all of them are just one-off mom and pops, and they put their heart and soul into it. West Virginia has some really, really good, like, little local chains that have popped up in just the region. Oh, yeah. Man, they're good.
What's the go-to
I'm
pizza
getting excited.
in Morgantown? Are you a pizza guy?
You will get a variety of answers on that one.
Yeah.
Some swear up and down it's Pizza Al's. Some say it's Calisante's. I don't discriminate.
Okay, you'll eat whatever the
Exactly.
pizza. Okay. Where do you put Little Caesars on that list? A hot and ready. Convenience means something.
It does. It's all right.
Yeah.
I'll pay more for something else. I'll wait.
I've got a hot take on here. This is similar.
Hot and ready.
This is similar to whenever Austin said the best fast food was Subway, and I just killed him for it. Not our engineer Austin Stevens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little Caesars is actually way up there for me.
Really?
Just specifically that Detroit style that's got like the kind of burnt, fat, square edges. Man, I like that a lot. The pizza part itself is not quite as good. But then they also they got a new item.
Okay.
Man, I wish I could. It's called like something puff. Does anybody have any idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It looks like a little muffin.
Yes.
Super tasty. Wow, it's tasty. And their cheesy bread, pretty tasty.
Yeah.
I don't hate on Little Caesars. It gets a lot of hate.
Yeah.
I'm big
It's really
on it.
greasy.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. We had a director in last, I don't know when she was in, the Minneapolis director was in, and I heard different department heads. She went through the car wash, and I heard different department heads, talking to her about the local culture, especially the food culture. And they were like, have you been to Tudor's? And she's like, no, what's Tudor's? And I'm like, and one of them said, well, where have you been? She's like, well, I ran into your gas station. It's called Sheetz. And one of them said, oh, God, you've got to eat there. They have a chef. Now, I thought that was a bit far, that they referred to the person at Sheetz making the food as a chef. But they swore, they're like, I'm telling you, you won't get better food than at Sheetz. Have you guys ate it? Have you ordered food from Sheetz?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have. It's just like put it on the kiosk and get some little mozzarella sticks or something. There's not a chef in there, is there?
What?
No.
Again, I think that was a bit of an exaggeration, but you have ordered food from Sheetz.
Can you out who said this?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm going to get to the bottom of this, too.
Yeah.
What a far take, claiming Sheetz to be dining of that quality.
But that's probably the
It's
third.
like saying Subway has a chef.
Well,
It's the same concept. They've got all the little containers of stuff.
Yes, you heat it up.
If you cut stuff up to prepare it, then I'm a chef.
Right.
okay. Well,
Sheetz, I'll tell you what I do think about Sheetz, though. Man, I was driving by one not that long ago, and now they've got the whole like drive-through and everything. They are truly redefining what a gas station is, and it does. And you can DoorDash it and Grubhub it, and somebody here thinks they have a chef. Apparently, they're doing something different. To where I was driving by it, and I was like, I am not even joking around. I'm about to call my financial agent and be like, I want you to buy a lot of Sheetz stock. I might do that today.
are they
I
publicly
forgot
traded?
about it.
Do we know?
I don't know. I just assumed maybe you could.
Can we give stock tips on here?
If they have an IPO, I'm going
Yeah.
hard in the Sheetz.
So you're encouraging the listeners to go heavy on Sheetz.
I have no light. I'm going to give some legal disclosures now. While I am close to a medical practitioner, I am not a financial advisor. You should listen to nothing that I say. But I think Sheetz is going to go to the moon. They're the McDonald's of gas stations. Global success, world domination, Sheetz. You heard it here.
Have you listened to Rogan's latest stand up on Netflix?
No.
He did a special, and he talks about. He's like, look, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, I get a lot of crap for like people saying like, hey, you have a big platform, people listen to you. I am strongly encouraging you not to listen to me. But if you do, what you should do, and then he goes through this list of just horrible advice. Some of it sounds pretty decent, somewhat dangerous, but that's very similar to your medical and financial advice that you give here. Did you get that parking?
No, because there was 7 minutes left on the meter, and so I couldn't do it at that point. You have to let it run out and then do it real fast, and I let a little window of time pass.
Oh, no.
I probably got a ticket.
What if they caught you in the in-between?
I'll be so pissed.
What a song. Do we
All
have
right,
anything
we
else
got to
for-
wrap up.
Yeah. Okay.
Zach, do you have any words of wisdom to leave us with today?
Please
You'd
give
know
us
I was going to
something.
ask you that if you had bothered to read the questions.
I glanced at them.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Pull some words of wisdom right out of the ether.
Out of your ether.
I started to say out of your head. I don't know where your guys' minds went.
I don't know. It wasn't out of his ether, though.
The ether, out of the space, out of the sky.
Go ahead.
If you're looking for an opportunity to switch jobs, change your career for whatever reason, consider Village Caregiving. you will not regret your decision by any means to come over.
Thank you.
Wow.
We did not tell him to say that.
No, we didn't.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Very
I was actually
kind.
doing recruitment after the gala the other day.
Really?
We may have hired a nurse.
Awesome.
Just up there slinging VCG knowledge on these folks.
Exactly.
They weren't even ready for it.
I've enjoyed the conversation. You're
That's
doing
been
a
great.
fantastic job in Morgantown. Tell everybody we said hello up there, and
Of course.
can't wait to see them again.
Yeah. Well, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Zach.
Of course.